Trailer repair project. So what we got here, we got a little utility trailer that I use. This thing's been great. I've used it for hauling gravel, hauling sand, toolboxes, engines, moving beds. It's been a really handy little trailer. So what's happening on the trailer is the tongue, put that in there. So I got the tongue off right now. When this tongue is in place, and I've probably overloaded the trailer a couple times, I'll be honest. I've exceeded the tongue weight. I believe the tongue weight on this is 400 pounds, I believe. I have probably exceeded that on occasion. And what's happening is I'm finding the weak spot in the tongue is right here. So when this tongue is all the way in place and the bolts are all bolted in, when it's overloaded at the front, it puts a lot of pressure right here. So I guess the ideal thing is not to overload it. But you know, let's be honest, things happen. And sometimes they do get a little more weight on the front, or you're going down a road, it's a really bumpy road, and you get into a pothole situation and it starts bouncing a little bit. Puts a lot of stress on this area right here. And this is pretty, I don't know, it's pretty beefy steel, but it's not like really heavy duty. So what I want to do is I want to strengthen this area up, because what happens is when you get pressure on the tongue, it wants to push up like this, and it actually bends this channel galvanized steel up a little bit, and then the tongue starts to sag in the middle. So I've taken it apart. This is the second time I've taken it apart and straightened this and put it back in, and it, you know, worked good. But as soon as you get a substantial load on it, it tends to start to bend here again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinforce this and beef this up a little bit by putting some angle iron inside there. So I got this old, I have no idea what this was. I'm almost thinking it was a battery tray that somebody started making at one point, and it didn't really work out. But it's got some angle iron in it. It's a pretty good size. I don't want it too thick to change the dimensions of the trailer, but I want it thick enough that it's going to have some strength to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out this piece of angle iron. I've already cut out this side. I'm going to cut out the other side, grind all the weld off it, make it the same length so it looks half decent, and I'm going to install these on the inside and square it up at the end here to give it some extra strength. All right, so the first thing I need to do is go over and grind this off to free up this piece of angle iron. You know, I could go out and buy some new angle iron. It's not that expensive. But I'm gonna try to reuse what I can around the shop here, because it's laying around. It's probably just gonna get sent out for scrap steel anyway, so why not reuse it? All right, so I got my chop saw here. I'm gonna try cutting some of it off with the chop saw and then probably use the grinder for the last little bit. And probably a hammer and chisel to free it up completely. All right, I'm doing some painting over here earlier, and I got some paper, and I'm just looking at the sparks, and you know, we should get all our flammable materials away. Up a little bit ahead of time. Start grinding away some of these welds here. Get through most of it, and then you can break it apart with a chisel. That's what I'm trying to do. Broke off. I don't think I'll get so lucky on this one. Oh, there's a big glob of weld on the end here, and so get through some of that. Close. More in the end, and then I'll take the chisel tip. There you go, and then I'll just clean up the safety glasses on, gloves on, and I'm just going to clean up some of the extra weld on there. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make these the same length. And really that's just for aesthetics, just so it looks the same from side to side. And this one's got like a cut in it, and it's a little bit rough at the edge, so I'm just going to go over to the chop saw and mark this where it needs to be. I like when you do something on a vehicle or on a trailer or anything where you're doing one side and the other, it makes it look a lot more professionally done when it's the same on both sides, right? Really, there's no reason why it has to be other than looks. Either length will work fine. Up, clamp it in. Wait till the blade stops before you get your fingers in there. This is going to be hot, but I've got my leather gloves on, so I'm good. You can see it leaves a bit of a ridge there, so I'm just going to go back to the grinder. Alright, we'll go back to the trailer. And just make sure that we've got the proper length here. Should be good. I might want to put a chisel in there. I had a chisel in there earlier just so this slides in easier. It's not really about the sliding in, it's about getting it out afterwards, because I put it in there once and it was pretty tough getting back out. And yeah, so that's what we'll do. Put that in there. I think maybe I don't have to. Maybe I've done it a couple times now. Yeah, I'm just going to put a chisel in there. It'll make things easier. So I just pried that up. But it's going to get the chisel, so I'm going to have to take it out. Put that into place. I'll probably use the chisel to take it back out. Alright, so have a look here. Remember, this has got to slide in. Got to trim, either pound this all the way in, but I don't want to do that because if I pound it all the way in, it's going to leave this exposed right here. So what I want to do is I want to leave it out a little bit. I want to trim this on a 45-degree angle so that it matches this face, and then trim up this edge. And cut that center line. So you can see I already had it in here and I kind of made some temporary marks. I'm just looking at my marks and figuring out if that's exactly what I want. And I think it is. Once I have one, the other side is going to be a mirror image. So once I get one cut and trimmed and the drills hold, I can just transfer all the markings onto the second one. Alright, so I've got my marks on here. That's going to be top, that's where the holes are going to go. I think it's going to be easier. I was going to try doing it on the chop saw, but I think it might be just easier to do it freehand with this cutoff wheel, this little zip wheel, because I got a little bit of a notch to take out there as well. So I'm going to do this freehand over in the vise. And we've got some extra steel, so if I mess up and I gotta recut it, I have some extra to play with. So I'll try doing it without messing it up, but if it happens, it happens. There's not much I can do about it. Alright, so I'm going to I always like to take the burrs off it. Burrs are what ends up cutting people if they're not paying attention. Alright, so there's my little notch that I had to make. Let's go back to the trailer. And we will have a look and see how it turned out. Alright, looks pretty good. It's flush there. It's flush there, so it's not going to interfere with this when it goes back in. It's going to have lots of clearance. And I think that'll be good. I might have to notch that out for that bolt. And then I'm just going to put in a spot for the holes. There. And there. I'm just looking, I might modify this. I'm just, that's why I'm pausing for a second. I'm thinking I might want this to be in the middle, because if it butts up to the other piece of steel, I could weld that. Once these are all in together, I could weld those two pieces of steel together to give it a little bit extra strength. So I think I will. I've got extra here. So I think I'm gonna redo this. I'm gonna pound it forward anyways and just see how that works. It lines up. I might have to do a little adjustment with my zip wheel again. Ruler through the center of the bolt. pretty good where I just did it free just by eyeballing it. You know what? I think I'm going to leave it the way it was. If I decide that I need to weld it down the road, I can always put a spacer in there and weld it and grind it. Just because I like the way that this comes back and it's flush past that part, I think it'll give it just a little more sturdy. So I think I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to transfer the template. I've got my bolt holes marked where they need to be, so I can drill those out, and I can transfer this shape onto the other piece of angle iron. Alright, so I'm going to go and drill these holes. Tap. And a little tap right here. Now, when you got it in the vise, you got to make sure that the drill bit doesn't go through the vise. So I think I'm just going to start it until it just breaks through the other side, and then I'm going to flip that over. One thing I'll show you, this steel's pretty mild, so you don't need to do this, but if you're drilling hardened steel, it's good to put just a little drop of oil on it. Alright, so I'm just going to put a little drop of oil where I'm going to drill. You can even just put a little drop right on the drill bit. That just helps keep the drill bit from overheating. It helps keep it sharp. Like I said, with this mild steel, I could have got away without doing it, but it never hurts to put it on. Alright, I just broke through the other side. Stop there. Alright, I think too, now that I've got the pilot holes made, I need to enlarge those, but I'm just going to do that with the cordless drill. Once the hard part is getting the pilot holes. Once the pilot holes are drilled through, enlarging it is usually fairly straightforward, and you can get away with it with just a handheld drill. Alright, I'm just going to enlarge these holes. Got a drill bit and the cordless handheld drill. Same thing, drilling steel. I'm going to add a little bit of oil. You just put a little bit right on the drill bit. Don't need to make a mess, just enough to coat everything. And as slow a speed as you can. You don't need to drill really quickly with steel, and always hang on to your drill because you can see it flies out pretty easy. There we go. So there's one. I'm going to reverse the camera so you guys can see the other view. you're drilling steel, as soon as you get close to going through the other side, the drill bit wants to grab and it just pulls up through these, through those channels, right? The spiral channels. Flutes, I guess they're called flutes. And it'll pull the drill right in. So beware. Sometimes you can hear the drill change pitch, like it's going to grab, and that's when you really kind of need to brace yourself and actually just release on the pressure a little bit so you can kind of break through that last little bit gently so it doesn't grab and pull the drill in your hand right in. All right, so we got our holes drilled in. I've got the shape. Now I just need to transfer everything over to the other piece of steel. Sharpie marker. Just transfer the location of the holes. I'm going to be mindful of the thickness of this angle iron. So the hole's actually going to be that way a little bit. I'm going to notch out this part first. So I'm going to notch out this part here first. Because I'm going to play around this angle and I'm going to see if maybe I can get it to match up with that other angle. Like I said, if I can get it to 12 together after everything's done, just to get a little bit of strength, great. If not, I mean, it's still going to be 10 times stronger than it is right now. All right, I guess I forgot to turn the camera on. I've already got one coat on. I did the cleaning, give it a quick buff with the sander, just to scrub them up a little bit. I'm gonna just do another light second coat, and that's gonna be it for these. I'm not really worried about how they look. Here's the pieces, all painted up, ready to go. Do is slip them into place, and hopefully that goes well, and just bolt everything down. Make sure I got the right one on the right side. It doesn't matter which one I do first. I still have the chisel on this side to give you a little bit of space. There we go, fit in there pretty good. Bolt holes are good. That one's got to move over a little bit. Hopefully I can just move it back. If not, I can get a little grinder in there and just make that hole a little bit bigger, but I don't think I'll have to do that. Be the tricky part because of the thickness of the steel of the reinforcements I put in. It just made this opening a little bit tighter. No. Try to use the rubber mallet on that so I don't bend. So let me get these big bolts down in here first. That'll act to keep everything lined up. There we go, something like that. And then I'll just get a screwdriver and try to line up those other bolt holes. So I think the triangle piece just shifted back a little bit. I think the bolt holes I made are good. It's just this piece has shifted. So I'm just going to get a screwdriver or a punch and just put in there, and just so I can line up those holes again. Try to start them by hand whenever possible, just so you don't cross thread the bolts and damage them. The one that I thought maybe is going to give me a little bit of difficulty. Let's see. Alright, got them started. They're a little bit stubborn. I just had to loosen them off and shift it around a little bit. And carefully start them. Just get them to grab the thread and then put a wrench on there and just get them going. So they've all started. They're not cross-threaded, which is good. I've left them loose. I'm just going to hit this down a few more times to make that straight so that it's flush. This is where you can see how much it was bent from before. Because the angle iron I put in there was perfectly straight. The new silver part that I painted and made. And this is the old part that was bent up. So we already hit it down a little bit, but I'm going to hit it down so it's flush. And then I know that this is straight. And then this will give everything a lot more strength on this tongue so it doesn't keep bending that piece like it was. So I'm just going to get my body hammer. I'm just going to shape those down a little bit, tighten everything up, and we'll be good to go. You see it's nice and flush now. Alright, now I'm just going to go ahead and snug everything up. Notice I'm trying to tighten everything evenly so that it pulls everything down nice and straight without binding. The nuts here, this worked out well. The head of this bolt is wedged right between those two pieces. I didn't plan for that, but it worked out nice. A nice little bonus. So I don't have to hold a wrench on that one, hopefully. Let's see. That one, and I will need a wrench on this one. There we go. Fixed. Nice and straight. And hopefully a lot stronger now. And it's even painted up nicely. So it shouldn't rust. Maybe we'll have to paint the rest of the trailer now to match. That's the problem when you put well, not a nice part. When you put a new part on something, everything else starts to look not quite so nice. All right, but I'm very happy with it. I think it's going to be a lot stronger than what it was. So there you go. There is a trailer tongue repair. I guess not really a repair, but a modification to make it stronger.